Hey World Civ, back for part 2, so let's go ahead and get going. Remember I told you we were going to look at these 4 regions in the last video, and so we're in this part 2 of this 3-part video. We're going to be looking at Haiti and then Mexico and Central America. So Haiti here, Mexico and Central America in the green and purple. Excuse me. So let's start with the country of Haiti. The Haitian Revolution created the second independent country in the Western Hemisphere. The United States, of course, being the first. And it was a French colony originally called Saint-Domingue, which grew sugar cane. And it used slave labor in extremely brutal conditions on these large sugarcane plantations. Because of this, of course, there was some tension between the landowners and slaves, and of course then the smaller landowners who competed with the large plantation owners. But when the French Revolution breaks out in the late 1780s, remember that French Revolution we just finished talking about? Slaves in Haiti began seeing it as an opportunity to rise up. And this is because many of the plantation owners had actually gone back to France to meet with leadership there to try to quell the French Revolution. And so there's kind of this, when the leaders are away, revolution can begin. And the guy you see pictured here, Toussaint Louverture, and I know I'm butchering that name, we'll just call him Toussaint, he led an army of slaves, he himself being a former slave, in a fight against the French planters and all their allies. By 1798, about 7 years later, the rebels had succeeded in abolishing slavery in Haiti, which was quite the accomplishment. And it was even supported by the National Assembly in France, who ordered that slavery all over Europe, all over the French Empire, should be abolished. Toussaint's forces ended up controlling most of the island, beginning in 1798. But a few years later, in 1802, this guy named Napoleon is actually going to come back and cause some trouble in Haiti. In 1802, Napoleon Bonaparte sends a large army to reconquer and re-enslave Haiti. He's actually going to try to put these freed slaves back into slavery. But Haitians under Toussaint's leadership again take up arms and they fight against the French. Toussaint is captured in 1802 during this war, and he's actually transported to a prison in France, where he'll end up dying eventually in that prison. But the struggle continued without him for 2 years, and Haitians finally defeated the French right at the end of the year 1803. The French army was also suffering from a lot of illness from the tropical climate of Haiti. But Haiti declares its full independence in 1804. But the problem was the war, which had lasted basically from 1791 all the way to 1804, had damaged the farmland, the plantations, and the economy of Haiti. And really, it never recovers from that. Also, beginning in 1804, because Toussaint has died in prison, and he would have been kind of the natural choice for a ruler of this country, kind of like George Washington with the United States. Because he's not there, there's a struggle that happens between leaders, which continues really until 1820 when Haiti becomes a republic. But nevertheless, second country to become independent in the Western Hemisphere, and it does so by taking these French Revolution ideas and applying them to all people in Haiti, believing in equality for all, even slaves who rise up in rebellion. So now we're going to hit Mexico and Central America as our second region. And in Mexico, we see that, or in 1800, we see that Mexico was Spain's richest and most populous economy. So whereas Haiti was a French colony, Mexico is a Spanish colony. And after seeing the revolts in Haiti and the negative effects that it had on its economy, most Creoles, those people whites who were born in the Americas, were pretty cautious of revolution. They didn't want drastic economic and social changes. They were They weren't happy with Spanish rule, but they didn't want to lose their own power. But once Napoleon invades Spain, they realize that the Spanish government is weak, and they overthrow the local governor. During this time also, Native Americans in Mexico begin to revolt because they are facing a lot of problems like crop failures, epidemics, and high food prices. And so this leads to a lot of turmoil. That turmoil reaches kind of a climax in 1810 when a parish priest, who you see pictured here to the right, Father Miguel Hidalgo, urged people in his parish to rise up against their Spanish rulers. And so he begins to lead a violent rebellion and kind of leads people, a big coalition of people of all different backgrounds against the Spanish. Hidalgo is captured and executed, and then another priest, Father Jose Morelos, takes over this revolution and continues to lead it all the way until 1815, when he himself is executed. So this first phase of the Mexican Revolution is fairly unsuccessful. It lasts for 5 years, but doesn't achieve its goal in throwing off Spain completely. But in 1821, there was even more unrest back in Spain. And so a colonel named Agustin de Iturbide overthrew the Spanish government in Mexico. He basically rises up with the army and just kicks Spain out. And because Spain is in turmoil itself back in Europe, they are in no position to put down this rebellion. He declares Mexican independence, and Iturbide crowns himself emperor. But only a couple years later, in 1823, the army overthrows Iturbide, and Mexico becomes a free republic. So Mexican independence really happens in 1821, but it finally becomes a republic, something similar to what the United States has with a representative government in 1823. So 2 phases there to Mexican independence. So let's take a quick look at Central America. In the early 1820s, the Spanish ruled the lands in Central America just like they had in Mexico. But those lands, seeing Mexican independence, also declared their own independence. Iturbide, the emperor of Mexico for a time, tries to take Central America into Mexico and make it part of that one country, but ultimately he fails, and the United Provinces of Central America form. Eventually they're going to break apart. They're going to form the countries of Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and El Salvador, as well as Costa Rica, which now, with Panama, make up the provinces of Central America. But not quite as much information here, but you're probably glad because we've had a lot. But you see here the United Provinces of Central America in purple. It would not last very long, just a little over a decade. So that's it for part 2. In part 3, we're going to be looking at Spanish South America and Portuguese Brazil. So independence movements in the entirety of South America, which is a very large continent. That's it for now. See you in part 3.